he can be. I think calling him that right now is ludicrous. I think that he has, because he's, to your point, he's always had the talent. Yeah. It's always been about, have you produced? And it still wasn't enough to have him in contemplation for the top 5 because we have other quarterbacks who maybe don't quite pass the eye test as much as him, but have done so much more and played their best ball in the biggest spots. And so, Baker, I wanted to move you higher, to be honest with you. I couldn't. Herbert, this is his highest place ever on the mountain. My guy, Matt Stafford.
Yeah, and see, this is what I said in my previous clip. He's talking about Baker. He's got Baker ahead of Justin Herbert right now, which is interesting because part of the clip that I showed you before, Nick is saying that that Justin Herbert can't be a top 5 quarterback, but then literally has him as a top 5 quarterback here. So don't exactly understand here because he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we know it's right to left. We know that. And he's got Baker Mayfield ahead of him. And it's implied, based off that other clip that I showed you, the earlier clip, that Baker Mayfield has maybe doesn't pass the eye test or doesn't look as good as Justin Herbert, but Baker Mayfield has played the best in the biggest games and all this. And, I called it out in this original clip, and these are some of the comments that I got. Just glorious nonsense. It's more than just this season stats. Baker has been balling the last couple of years and has the highest passer rating of all time in the playoffs, while Herbert has 0 wins. It's like, okay. Baker is a top 6 top 6. Definitely above Herbert. You always downplay Baker and overrate Herbert. Yikes. Then someone else says, you don't know ball if you think Baker is at Herbert's level, def above Herbert's based on what stat? ? And the response was absolutely not. Baker, 4,500 yards, 46 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 106.8 rating. Herbert, 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 101.7 rating. Herbert had a lot less interceptions, obviously, but didn't really push the ball downfield. And I just said you could put any top 10 quarterback on the Eagles. Well, yada, 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 and that's a big difference. That's also a nonsense comment right there. But the whole idea that Justin Herbert's not really pushing the ball downfield and Baker Mayfield is, and, Baker Mayfield's balling these last couple of years and has the highest passer rating of all time and blah, 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 blah. You want to know what's funny? This is why you can't just use random stats to try to think that you're going to prove your point here. Baker led the NFL in yards and touchdowns from passes behind the line of scrimmage. Herbert literally had half of the yards Baker had from behind the line. Baker had 783 yards. Okay? Justin Herbert was in the 300s, so didn't get to juice up his stats with screen passes and behind the line of scrimmage passes. Baker had 5 touchdowns off screen passes alone. Justin Herbert had 0. Justin Herbert was second in the NFL in deep ball passing with 985 yards. So Justin Herbert doesn't push the ball downfield, but was second in the NFL in deep ball passing in 20-plus yards passes or more with 985 yards. Baker had 583 and was ranked 19th. Herbert had 120 passer rating on 20-plus yard passes. Baker, 89.3. Herbert had 70 deep ball pass attempts. Baker had only 50. Herbert was 7th in the NFL in average depth of target. Baker was 29th. Baker was 2nd in the NFL in yards after catch. Herbert was 15th with 1,000 less yards coming from yards after catch. Nobody is going to tell me that Justin Herbert isn't a wildly accurate quarterback, and so don't be giving me this nonsense that Kansas City Chiefs fans always try to bring, where they're like, well, Patrick Mahomes gets so much yak because he's just really accurate with the ball. And it's like, okay, right, Justin Herbert's not accurate with the ball, and Baker Mayfield is accurate with the ball, even though he always throws a million interceptions and has one of the lowest on-target rate percentage, and it doesn't matter. So, yeah, it's just, we got things twisted here. Majorly. And this was with Justin Herbert, whose number one weapon was a rookie slot receiver, okay? Where Baker Mayfield definitely dealt with some injuries throughout the season, but like we gotta tell the truth here. Mike Evans still played 14 games and has been balling. Okay, balling. Chris Godwin still played 7 games here. Okay, still had 7 games. He was able to get 16 touchdowns alone off of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. 16 touchdowns. 16 touchdowns. He was able to scoop up 1,500 yards from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. 71.7 yards per game for Evans and 82.3 yards a game for Chris Godwin. So again, I know that they had their injuries and stuff, but let's not pretend like that they weren't a big part of how he was able to put up some nice stats there. Not to mention, I already showed you all the short throws, etc., etc., etc. But you know, just so we're clear, Justin Herbert had a weaker receiving core here. His on-target percentage, 79.7. Baker Mayfield, 78.6. And you're like, oh, well, that's actually pretty close. Right? That's pretty good, right? It is interesting, right? Because Justin Herbert was 7th in the NFL in average depth of target. Oh boy, Baker Mayfield, where are you? Way at the bottom, 28th. I should hope he's, still kind of accurate when you're throwing a lot of these short passes. And what about that yak, as I told you before? Baker Mayfield, 2nd in the NFL, 2,439 yards after the catch. Justin Herbert, 1,688. Do you think that matters at all? Do you? I mean, Justin Herbert wasn't even fully healthy last year. And how about pressure? Dropbacks with pressure. 190 for Justin Herbert. Everyone's all about the O-line these days and pressure. 190. Top 10 in the NFL. Baker Mayfield, 19th in the NFL with 159. 159. Interesting. And yet, Justin Herbert actually had less dropbacks. Baker Mayfield had more dropbacks. So, Justin Herbert was getting pressured at a significantly higher rate per dropback than Baker Mayfield. I mean, it really is funny to say that Justin Herbert, can't push the ball down the field. Went on deep ball passing 20 plus. He's 2nd in the NFL. 985 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And Baker Mayfield is all there at 19th. 583 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 39.2 completion percentage. I mean, come on. Just absurd. Just absurd. Now, here's where the fun begins. I'm going to let myself take over here, and you listen to me break down Baker Mayfield's just amazing playoff performances of how he's just this all-time special, great, talented performer in the biggest moments. Take it away, bud. To act like he is a top playoff performer is just not accurate, okay? It's just not accurate. Let's just take last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, who Nick Wright himself said that they were the worst team in the NFL in the second half of the season. They lost 6 out of 7 of their last games against the Giants, the Cardinals, and Seahawks, against backup quarterbacks, bottom teams with backup quarterbacks they were losing to. Baker Mayfield threw for 337 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. That sounds really good, right? Let's take a little bit closer. They had 219 yards after catch. 219 yards after the catch. Palmer's 56-yard touchdown reception should have been a 6-yard gain. Instead, it became an almost laughable talking point for the broadcast solely because it was embarrassingly bad. It was a 6-yard gain that then turned into a huge touchdown. Don't remember it? Let's take a look. A nice little short pass and an awful comically bad touchdown. Oh, can't tackle. Oh, let's combine into each other. And then there you have it. Pretty easy touchdown there. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, like, again, what are we talking about here? Troy Aikman said what we were all thinking Monday night. The Eagles played like a defeated team. They looked nothing like the squad that won the NFC a year ago, or one that started this season 10-1, instead devolving into a dysfunctional mess that made the offense look like a chore and became, a terrible defensive team. They made the most basic requirements of the Eagles made the most basic requirements of professional football: blocking, catching, tackling, look different. Failed to execute in almost every key situation. Finished 0 for 9 on third down and made 0 adjustments when facing Tampa Bay's highly predictable blitzes. So again, like, what are we talking about here? You want to talk about all the points he scored and this or that? Like, just stop. It makes no 219 yards after the catch, and I think like 120 yards rushing. I mean, like, it's insane. Philadelphia tackled at a Pop Warner level on Monday night. Its fundamentals were absolutely horrible when it came to approaching a ball carrier. Like, come on. Then you want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers game? You want to see how this game started against the Steelers versus Browns? Let's take a watch and see how this game started. The first play of the game. Whoop. Uh-oh. Boop. And a touchdown. I mean, seriously. Come on. Okay, well, it has to get a little bit better, right? Here's like a next couple of plays, Now it's 11 minutes in the first quarter. 11 minutes left in the first quarter. So just a few minutes into the game. Things will probably get better, I assume, right? Here we go. Oh, Ben Roethlisberger. Come on, Big Daddy. Up and an interception. Nice little short yardage field there, right? I mean, like, again, that game was out of control from the get-go. The Steelers had lost 5 out of their last 6 games. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 4 interceptions and the fumble. 4 interceptions. Baker Mayfield was living at short yardage at that point. Living at it. I mean, we could see how much of a mess this all was. I mean, after that interception, like, here's Baker Mayfield, again, at the 40. Take a look. Let's take a watch of this now. Drops back. Nice little beautiful throw. And I'm just going to keep running. And running. And running. And running. So you can't just look at yards, passing yards per game, and touchdowns and points per game. Because we can clearly see how easily these things get inflated. Like, can we just stop with the madness? We can be accurate. We can talk about how Baker Mayfield is an underrated quarterback. That Baker Mayfield has overcome a lot of adversity. But we have to stop faking who he is and juicing it up. That's why people say that I'm a Baker Mayfield hater. No, I'm just being realistic who Baker is. Okay? I do not think that Baker Mayfield is a bottom quarterback. I do not think Baker Mayfield is a trash quarterback. I do not think any of those things. But we have to stop cooking the books, man. We can have honest and real discussions here. It's going to be okay to tell the story accurately. I mean, here's another interception that leads to another short field. I mean, boom! Look at that. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, look where he ends up at. They end up at like the 17. I mean, come on. Again, what are we talking about here? No wonder how you get this insane score that we got. Here's another interception that gives the Browns and Baker Mayfield short field. right at the 50. All of it is filled with it. I can seriously do this all day. I can do this all day. At the 40. A nice little, tiniest little pass ever. Let's just take it to the house. I mean, seriously. That's why you can't just look at stats. It's why you just can't look at the box score. You actually have to know. I remember this game. I watched this with my cousin. I watched this vividly. All right? I watched this game. Watched the Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So when, you juice your stats with those big games, that's what happens. Again, here's now just all his playoff games, okay? When you say, oh, he's played 4 playoff games and averages over 300 yards a game and over 30 points per game. When you see the one game was 48 points, which I've already highlighted in those highlights, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles over 30, he put up 17 points against the Kansas City Chiefs and 23 points against the Detroit Lions. Let's stop pretending that was something magnificent. I mean, let's just stop it. The game even against the Steelers was 263. Against the Kansas City Chiefs was 204. I mean, come on. Can we just stop with this? Seriously. And again, I'm not making the argument that he's a trash quarterback or that he plays bad in the playoffs. But let's not pretend like this is something that it's not. That's my argument. That's why I'm making this video. This is not meant to bash on Baker Mayfield. You have to take me for my word when I say things like, I do not think, because people say you're such a Baker Mayfield hater. And then I'm like, I do not think Baker Mayfield is awful. I do not think he's trash. I think Baker Mayfield's better than Dak Prescott. I believe Baker Mayfield's a gamer and a baller and is very resilient. Yeah, I don't even know if I even believe that anymore about Baker Mayfield being better than Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's probably better than Baker, but, I don't know. Feels like a little bit of a toss-up to me right now. We don't have to cook the books. We don't gotta do that. We don't have to make something that's not accurate. Okay? Baker Mayfield's not bad. As I said in that video from 8 months ago, he's not bad. He's not trash. I'm not saying that Baker should be next to Justin Fields here. He's just not better than Justin Herbert on any metric. He's just not. And you could see how against the Steelers and the Eagles, how he was able to really juice up his playoff performances, that's for sure. And he had in that game, that video was obviously made before the Washington Commanders game, and he played pretty good. I mean, he had a fumble that cost him a game. Just saying. Only threw the ball 18 times, which last time I checked, that's Nick Wright and company always says that that's not good. You can't win playoff games throwing 18 passes. So what happens when you throw 18 passes and lose? I mean, well, what does that mean then? I don't know. You tell me. That's the whole argument against Jalen Hurts, except Jalen Hurts actually wins those games and sets records and wins the Super Bowl, gets Super Bowl MVP, and you know the story. His team hung 55 points against the Commanders. But yeah. Justin Herbert's just a better football player. He's just a better football player. And Baker Mayfield was incredibly fortunate to win that playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, you saw the clips, you saw the yards after catch, you saw all of that for against the Steelers and the Eagles for that matter. But even just with the Cleveland Browns against the Steelers, just that was an absolute mess, an absolute mess. And if Justin Herbert got the benefit from that, yeah, he'd be able to win too. And when they both now kind of got better teams, like Baker Mayfield in his game when he lost to the Lions threw 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and could not do anything against the Kansas City Chiefs when he was with the Browns. So, I mean, I don't know. Baker Mayfield has actually had better teams, surprisingly, over the years than Justin Herbert has had. Better, more reliable receivers, especially once he got with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I mean, with the Browns, he had Nick Chubb. He had Jarvis Landry. He had Kareem Hunt. He had Njoku. Like, let's not act like he just was out there with no one. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys think? Is Justin Herbert not as good as Baker Mayfield? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.